Yes, indeed. B Marsh Boxing back at it with another historical accounts, man. Check out my playlist here on YouTube. I got a historical accounts, historical archives, and I'm gonna throw this in the mix. All right. This is basically a breakdown of every single unification fight we've ever had at lightweight. You know what I mean? This is in light of the fight that we got coming up this weekend between Mikey Garcia and Robert Easter. Mikey Garcia defending he's putting his WBC lightweight title on the line, and Robert Easter's putting his IBF title on the line, which will make for a great unification. It's been a while since we had one of these, so I'm about to break it down one time. In chronological order, the best, not the best, but every single unification fight, at least ones that I could find on film, you know what I mean? As you can see, the first one I got over here, which isn't the first one, but I'm going to tell you about the first one. The first unification we got is between Ken Buchanan and a man named Ruben Navarro. Now, I'm not too familiar with Ruben Navarro, but I am with Ken Buchanan. Ken Buchanan became a WBA champion when he beat Ishmael Laguna. You know what I mean? Ishmael Laguna is a very good champion at lightweight in the 60s. You know, he's a guy who beat Carlos Ortiz, you know what I mean? And the man, Ishmael Laguna, he got his title. He's been a champion at least 3 times at lightweight, but this title that he had, that Ken Buchanan took off of him, he got it off the off a young kid out of the Los Angeles, Long Beach area. Very popular kid in the 60s and 70s, you know what I mean, by the name of Mondo Ramos, you know what I mean. Mondo Ramos was a guy who was very popular. He was like a De La Hoya before De La Hoya. He was, what you call it, the golden boy. He was like a Bobby Chacon before Bobby Chacon, and what's the guy? Danny Little Red Lopez. You know, popular fighters from the Southern California area. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, the guy got demolished by Ishmael Laguna, got beat up. I was all cut up. You know what I mean? Ishmael Laguna, I think, was from if I'm not mistaken, he's from the Dominican Republic. You know what I mean? But that was the first unification. You know what I'm saying? When Ken Buchanan fought a man by the name of Ruben Navarro, and Ken Buchanan had the WBA title. He beat off Ishmael Laguna. You know what I'm saying? He beat him on points, and what do you call it? The WBC title was vacant. You know what I'm saying? Because what's his name? I got stripped of it. Ishmael Laguna prior to the fight with Ken Buchanan. You know what I mean? So that title was vacant. So when Ken Buchanan fought Ruben Navarro, Ken Buchanan brought his WBA title to the ring, but the WBC joint was vacant, and he won that title to become undisputed. You know what I mean? So Ken Buchanan was participated in the first unification. Now, you know, when I talk about these unifications, obviously I'm starting from when the sanctioning bodies got involved in the game of boxing. And this is not to discredit all great lightweights from the era before sanctioning body titles. You know what I mean? Fellas like, what you call it? You know, Barney Ross, and fellas like, what you call them? Henry Armstrong. You know what I'm saying? This is not to discredit those guys by any means. You know what I mean? This is just unifications in the sanctioning body era. You know what I'm saying? You know, great fighters like Joe Gans, you know what I mean? Longtime champions at the lightweight division before the sanctioning bodies. All right, so now let's get into it. The ones that I did have on film, and that Ken Buchanan versus Ruben Navarro, I couldn't find no film footage of that. So we'll start with the one that I did find footage, and this is the third meeting between Roberto Duran and what's this guy's name? Puerto Rican name? Esteban de Jesus, you know what I mean? And this was the third time they met. The first time, that was the only loss that the man, I was about to say Kevin Durant, Roberto Duran had in the 70s, you know what I mean? He had only one loss. The man was like 70 and 1 in the whole 70s. But definitely by far the best pound for pound fighter of the whole decade. No question about it, you know what I mean? Roberto Duran. His only loss was to Ishmael. I'm sorry, the Esteban de Jesus, and that was in a non-title fight. You know what I mean? And then they fought the second time, and Duran stopped the guy. And I'm saying, I believe in like 10 rounds or 11, and then he stopped him in this fight right here. This is a unification, and of course, Duran was a champion. He had his WBA title. He beat off of Ken Buchanan. You know what I'm saying? That's how he became a world champion. You know what I mean? And Esteban de Jesus, he beats some Japanese for the vacant WBC title. You know what I'm saying? Don't get me lying. I don't know the Japanese dude he beat. I just know that's how he became champion. And as you can see right here, man, Duran about to finish him. You know what I'm saying? And I believe this was in the 14th round. You know, giving this man a thorough beating. The man don't want no more, man. He got dropped with that short right hand. Look at him. Look at him. He's twitching his eyes. It's a wrap, man. I think his corner jumped in. His corner jumped in, and the referee didn't see the stoppage. Didn't see his corner throwing in the towel, basically calling it a wrap. You know what I'm saying? But that's how this unification came up. You know what I mean? Roberto Duran, young Manos de Piedras, as you can see there, that short right hand right on the jaw of the man, Esteban de Jesus, and he crumbles. He crumbles like a sandcastle, you know what I mean? So that's the first unification that I have on film, but the second unification we've had ever at the lightweight divisions, all right? What do we have next? The next fight we got, unification, is a fight between two guys who are best of friends, two guys who are neighbors, and two guys who know each other well, two guys from Mexico. Like I said, neighbors. These guys live next to each other while they were boxers, professional boxers, you know what I mean? So, you know, this is a fight right here we got between Julio Cesar Chavez and the godfather to his son, Jose Luis Ramirez, you know what I mean? Two Mexican warriors, two guys who were great fighters in the 130 and 135 divisions in the 80s, you know what I mean? And how did this unification come about? Cesar Chavez beat Edwin El Chapo, what's his name? Edwin Rosario, you know what I mean? A guy that also Jose Luis Ramirez had fought in the early 80s, you know what I mean? So that's how the man, what's his name, became a champion. Julio Cesar Chavez. He beat Edwin Rosario. Edwin Rosario is a great fighter. Don't get it twisted. Edwin Rosario is in the Hall of Fame, you know what I mean? This guy was a champion at 130, 35, and 140, you know what I mean? So this guy's a three-way champion, and that's who Julio Cesar Chavez beat. And this guy, Jose Luis Ramirez, I can't even remember how he became a champion, you know what I mean? I think he beat a guy by the name of Ali, somebody. I'm not too familiar with the guy he beat, to be honest, you know what I'm saying? But that's how he was a champion, bringing his WBC title to the table, you know what I'm saying? And Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. bringing his WBA title. And this was a unification right here, you know what I mean? The third unification we've had since the sanctioning bodies, and this fight got stopped on cuts, you know what I mean? The headbutts, and there was a lot of blood coming, pouring from the man Jose Luis Ramirez's head, and the fight went to the scorecards, and that's how the man Julio Cesar Chavez won this fight, you know what I mean? He was up on the scorecards by the time of the bad headbutts and the head clashes, and that's how he became a unified champion, you know what I mean? And he vacated these belts as soon as he became a champion, and he moved up to 140. You know what I mean? Which to me it was his best division, 140. That's where I think Chavez Sr. was at his best. And that's how he became a unified champion, beating Jose Luis Ramirez in this unification. I believe this fight was like in 89 or 88, you know what I'm saying? 88 or 89, you know what I mean? And it was a good look, you know, that these two guys who were best of friends got in the ring together for unification, you know what I mean? So props to both of these guys. And Jose Luis Ramirez, he's a great fighter. He's not in the International Boxing Hall of Fame, but he is in the World Boxing Hall of Fame. But like I said, man, these two guys, man, they put it all on the line for the betterment of boxing. And they got the unification popping, you know what I mean? What do we got next? Next up, unification right here from one of my favorite fighters of all time. IBF champion at this particular given time. IBF champion Pernell Whitaker, sweepy from Norfolk, Virginia, you know what I mean? And he's going against who? None other than Jose Luis Ramirez. Back-to-back unifications we got right here for Jose Luis Ramirez. Jose Luis Ramirez, of course, had lost his lightweight title to Julio Cesar Chavez in the unification. Julio Cesar Chavez moved up in weight, and he vacated his WBC and WBA titles. And right here, the WBC title is vacant in this particular unification. But the man Pernell Whitaker is bringing in his his WB, what is it, IBF title, you know what I mean? He's bringing in his IBF title to the mix. As you can see right there, the tail of the tape. Pernell Whitaker is a great fighter. And you know, this is actually the second time he's facing Jose Luis Ramirez. If you know everything that happened between these two guys in the first fight was in France. Jose Luis Ramirez was a champion, and what's his name, got robbed, man. He got robbed viciously. I did a video about that, matter of fact, maybe 2 months ago. Jose Luis Ramirez and Pernell Whitaker, the first fight, controversial decisions. I had that fight a wash, you know what I mean, like 9 rounds to 3. It was disgusting how they robbed Sweepy, you know what I mean, over there in France. It was ridiculous. Sweepy cried, you know what I mean. The man was devastated. He couldn't believe it. He checked it, but like I said, man, he got his title when he beat Greg Haugen. Pernell Whitaker beat Greg Haugen. He beat him on points to become the IBF champion, you know. So he got vindication 2 fights after he got robbed versus Jose Luis Ramirez. And guess what? In this unification, Sweepy Pernell Whitaker gets an opportunity to face the guy who got the dubious victory against him over there in France. And Pernell Whitaker did a job on this guy. Easy work, man. Watch this guy. This fight wasn't even competitive, you know what I mean? Jose Luis Ramirez just couldn't catch the guy. Sweepy was just outboxing him, you know what I mean? Off the front foot, off the back foot, the tight defense. This just was a complete mismatch. And Pernell Whitaker becomes unified, you know what I mean? IBF and the WBC champion. So he has 2 straps at this particular time. And congratulations to him because, you know, Sweepy is one of my favorite fighters of all time, one of the greatest lightweights of all time. Is he the greatest? You know, some will say Roberto Duran, you know what I mean? There's guys like Carlos Ortiz out there, great fighters, you know what I mean? You got Barney Ross, of course, you know, Joe Gans, Pernell Whitaker. I definitely put Pernell Whitaker, in my opinion, in the top 3, no question about it. B-Marsh Boxing, man, just try to educate y'all one time on these old unification fights. You know, I'm an old school head, man. Love old school boxing, you know what I mean? Let's get into it, man. The next unification we got going on right here is between, of course, none other than Pernell Whitaker. And this right here, ladies and gents, boxing heads and fight fans around the world, this is for undisputed Juan Nazario, WBA champion. How did he become WBA champion? Well, he stopped the man on his stool. What's my Puerto Rican guy's name? El Chapo, I just talked about him. Edwin Rosario, you know what I mean? That's how this Juan Nazario became the champion, because he beat Edwin Rosario. And that was in the second fight. They'd fought twice, you know what I mean? The first time, Rosario stopped the man. He stopped the man, Juan Nazario. Then in the rematch, Juan Nazario stopped him. Actually, he ain't report out for the 8th round. He stopped him on his stool. Of course, Pernell Whitaker's bringing his WBA and IBF and WBC world titles to the undisputed fight. And this is one of Pernell Whitaker's greatest knockouts ever, you know what I mean? He got this undisputed title in one round, you know what I mean? It's almost something similar to how Ndongo and Bud's fight went, you know what I mean? Even though it took Bud 3 rounds to get the vicious, devastating knockout, but it took Pernell Whitaker just 1 round. Y'all gonna see it right here, man. A short left hand off the 1-2. But you're gonna see the late reaction from Juan Nazario. Got the body shot. Here it is. Here it is. Bank. Good night. The man crumbled like cookies, man. He crumbled like cookies in a Ziploc. You know what I'm saying? That got stomped on. Pernell Whitaker was a precise puncher, and that's why he did this devastation to this guy's forehead and his chin and his jaw. Just basically obliterated him. Pernell Whitaker, in 1 round, becomes undisputed champion. And he's so elated, so happy. This guy's on his back, sleep, messed up. Look at Pernell Whitaker. He's running around the ring, jumping up on the turnbuckles. You know what I mean? It's funny how Sweepy's celebrating, you know, which is all well and fine. It is the Hurt game. You sign up for this. But I remember when Mikey Garcia put Dejan Zlatikin to sleep. You know, Robert Garcia told him, chill, you can't celebrate yet. This guy's still sleeping, you know what I mean? So Pernell Whitaker wasn't thinking about that, man. He just become undisputed. Knocked this guy Juan Nazario out. You know what I'm saying? Put him down with that short right hand, you know what I mean? I'm sorry, left hand. And Pernell Whitaker, this is why he's great, man. You know what I mean? A guy who could box, tight defense. He's just a remarkable fighter. One of my favorite fighters of all time. On any given day, I might tell you, yeah, my favorite fighters, for the most part, I love Southpaws. Hagler, Pernell Whitaker, Rigondeaux, Stevenson, Pacquiao. You know what I mean? I like Regis Prograis. Something about that left hand, man. You know what I'm saying? It's just a thing of beauty, you know what I mean? And Pernell Whitaker becomes undisputed, you know what I'm saying? WBC, IBF, WBA champion, you know what I mean? Big ups to Sweepy. You check it. I just love watching this guy, Pernell Whitaker. Here's the replay one time. That's all I was waiting for. Body shot set it up. He parred with the jab. Pank! Right on the jaw. Boom! Late reaction. The guy goes down face first. Usually when they go down like that, they're not getting up, Jim. He's not getting up, Jim. Yes, indeed. One more time, one more time. Right there on the jaw. Late reaction, the dude just went down like a sack of potatoes. All right, what do we have next? More unifications, please. More unifications, man. Be Marsh, man. I'm about to put y'all on, man. You know what I mean? So you could show your kids all these videos when we talking about, you know, we might be watching these videos 20 years from now, you know what I mean? Great unification. And this is in chronological order, you know what I'm saying? What do we have here? The next one we got right here, I believe, was in like 95. We got Oscar De La Hoya bringing his WBO title to the ring versus, was this Gabe Ruelas? No, Rafael Ruelas. Rafael Ruelas, that's right. Rafael Ruelas. Who did he beat for that world title? Oh, he beat Freddie Pendleton for the IBF title, you know what I mean? Those are one of the titles that Pernell Whitaker vacated, you know what I'm saying, when he moved up to 140. Well, Freddie Pendleton became a champion, and that's who Rafael Ruelas beat. I believe he stopped him, if I'm not mistaken, you know what I mean? It's been a while since I've seen that fight. The great Freddie Pendleton, you know what I'm saying? Career journeyman, but, you know, at least he became a world champion, you know, at one point in time. A guy who fought everybody in the 90s, you know what I mean? And Oscar De La Hoya, the golden boy, from East LA, he's fighting against this guy from California. From Mexico, and Rafael Ruelas. There's a lot of tension between these two guys, you know what I mean? Oscar De La Hoya is bringing his WBO title to the ring that he beat off of Jorge Paez. He beat Jorge Paez. He stopped him in 2 rounds. Jorge Paez was another guy who fought everybody, you know what I mean? Jorge Paez, a guy who fought even Pernell Whitaker. You check it. Let me try to fast forward some. Show you what this guy did. Obliterated this guy in 2 rounds, you know what I mean? He obliterated him in 2 rounds. Rafael Ruelas was trained by Joe. He had the Goosens in his corner, you know what I'm saying? Oscar De La Hoya just devastated this guy, you know what I mean? This guy was, he was pretty wild with his punches, a wide puncher, you know what I mean? Not as accurate as De La Hoya. De La Hoya was a big super featherweight and a big lightweight, you know what I mean? And he destroyed this guy. I remember they were trading, and he caught him in between the punches. And he put him down, you know what I mean? This guy's just following him with no You know, he's just following the man Oscar De La Hoya with no purpose. You know what I mean? De La Hoya's fighting up. There it goes. Boom. Puts that man down. Caught him with the uppercut and the left hook. Rafael Ruelas goes down. Richard steals the referee. De La Hoya ready to pounce on him. And I remember he dropped him twice. Oh, gosh. You see, this guy wasn't even ready. He wasn't even ready from the first knockdown, you know what I mean? And I remember he jumped on him, and the fight got stopped. Rafael Ruelas, this is the only time he became a champion. You know what I mean? His brother had, was also a world champion too, you know what I'm saying? Oh, look at this. And it's a wrap. It's a wrap. And that's how De La Hoya becomes unified at 135 pounds, WBO and IBF. He came with his WBO. He beat up for Jorge Paez, and he stops the man Rafael Ruelas in the second round, all right? What do we got next? A slept-on unification right here, man. A very good fight, man. This is a fight I watch at least once every 6 months, you know what I mean? I was a fan of both guys, to be honest, you know what I mean? It was basically a different look for the lightweight division at the time. Paul Spadafora, don't get me lying, who he beat off to get that, he won a vacant IBF title, you know what I'm saying? And, Leonard Doreen from Romania, you know what I mean? Leonard Doreen, who did he beat himself? He beat an Argentinian dude, a guy from Argentina to become the world champion. You know what I mean? A guy who I'm not too familiar with. I'm not going to lie to you, you know what I'm saying? You know, him and Paul Spadafora, how they became champions, I'm not too sure. I know that the man, Leonard Doreen, beat some guy from Argentina, and this guy, Israel, he beat somebody named Israel somebody. I can't even remember. I wasn't familiar with the guy, you know what I'm saying? But that's how these two guys became champions. WBA being Leonard Doreen, IBF for Spadafora. And this was a great fight, you know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, this fight was a unification, but it ended up in a draw, you know what I mean? It was a draw. I think Leonard Doreen had only one loss in his career when I really think about it. You know, a great amateur background. I don't remember if he medaled in any Olympics, but I know he had an extensive amateur background, and he got demolished by Arturo Gatti, you know what I mean? But Leonard Doreen was a very formidable fighter. He was a good fighter in my opinion, you know what I'm saying? And I favored him to beat Spatty, you know what I mean? I did, but he didn't get it done on this particular night, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, big ups to Leonard Doreen. He beat a guy from Argentina, Raul Balbi, and that's how he became champ, you know what I'm saying? But Spadafora won his Israel somebody off a vacant title. And this fight ended up a draw, and I had it a draw as well, you know what I mean? I don't think none of these guys deserve to be unified that night because they both didn't do enough, you know what I mean? So this is a slept-on unification, very entertaining fight, you know what I mean? And I had the privilege of watching this fight back in the G Live. And like I said, I go watch this fight at least once every 6 months, a couple times in the year, you know what I'm saying? You know, this was a very good fight. Okay, now what do we have here? The next unification we have right here, I believe this was like 2005, man. One of the best fights you'll ever see in boxing on your TV screen. So if you were there live when this fight happens, congratulations to you, man. You know, this was a fight right here between WBO champ Diego Corrales. Of course, he became a lightweight champion WBO when he stopped, made the man, what's that guy's name? Popo Freitas, Ancelino Freitas from Brazil. You know, he made him quit, you know what I'm saying? The guy ain't want no more. He turned his back, you know what I'm saying? He ain't want to fight Corrales no more. That's how this guy Corrales became the WBO champ. In a very good fight, you know. I don't know why the man Ancelino quit. He was in the fight anyways, you know what I mean? And the man, Luis Castillo, man, one of the better lightweights of the 2000, you know what I mean? Guy who had 2 controversial fights with Floyd Mayweather. Here he's beating the shit out of this guy, Diego Corrales. He brings his WBC title to the ring. Oh, Lord. That he won off Juan Lascano. He beat him on points for the vacant WBC title and the ring and the lineal title. And, you know, the man, Luis Castillo was giving this guy work, you know what I'm saying? But, hey, man, If you've never seen this fight, man, it was looking grim for this guy in the 10th round. It looked like he was on the verge of getting stopped, you know what I mean? Man spitting out his mouthpiece, you know what I mean? Which is a good tactic for the man, Diego Corrales, Chico, you know what I mean? But, you know, let me try to get to when the man stopped the man. That was the best part, man. You check it. This was a very, very, very good fight right here, man. Look at the man Corrales throwing them power shots. And he gonna catch him on the ropes right here. Look at this. Look at this beating. Look at this. I thought it was a fair stoppage when I saw this fight. I don't care what nobody say. Great victory and a great unification bout between the WBO and the WBC. Lightweight title, and that's Diego Corrales versus what's his name? I feel like I'm missing a fight when I really think about it. I think, nah, I'm bugging. No, I'm not. I was thinking about Ancelino Freitas and Casamayor. I'm bugging. That fight was at 130 pounds. That was a unification, matter of fact, WBA, WBO. But let's get into it, man. The next unification we got right here is between the man Juan Baby Bull Diaz. Juan Baby Bull Diaz became a champion when he beat, what do he have? I think he started off with a WBA belt, if I'm not mistaken, right? The man, Juan Baby Bull Diaz, he beat a guy from Mongolia by the name of Lakvasim, you know what I mean? That's how he became a WBA champion. And he's in this fight against Ancelino Freitas, who's a WBO champion. And he beat, in a close controversial decision that I thought Zahir Rahim had a claim of winning that fight. Zahir Rahim, that's the guy who beat Morales some years before. But Zahir Rahim was a guy, you know, that's how Ancelino Freitas got that WBO title, you know what I mean? You see the Brazilian right there. And this was a fight also, again, in another unification. Ancelino Freitas does the unthinkable. He quits. He turns his back on the man Juan Baby Bull Diaz, who was putting it on him, giving him a boxing lesson and slugging him and just outworking the guy, which was Juan Baby Bull Diaz's strategy. And Ancelino Freitas, man, this guy, you know, that's why I wasn't a fan. The guy could punch, man, but when the going got tough, he's a front runner. When the going got tough, this guy ain't want to work no more, you know what I mean? His most courageous fight was that fight with Casamayor at 130 pounds. But again, this guy lost this unification, and that's how Juan Baby Bull Diaz became the WBA and the WBO champion. A good fight, very good fight. Ancelino Freitas was never in no boring fights. But the guy just ain't have the heart, man. He gave Brazilians a bad name when it came to boxing. He definitely ain't no Eder Joe Fair, and that's a fact. One of the greatest bantamweights of all time. All right? So what do we have next? Last and final fight we got, I believe, Julio Diaz. Julio Diaz, he's a champion, IBF champion, bringing his IBF title to the ring. Julio Diaz, a guy who gave guys like Sean Porter and Amir Khan difficult fights. Keith Thurman retired him with that body shot. But I was cool with the man Julio Diaz, man. I liked him, you know what I mean? I like how he became a champion. He beat Jesus Chavez. You know, Jesus Chavez was a guy lightweight who had killed. Matter of fact, he had killed the guy Lavander Johnson for that very same title that the man Julio Diaz has, you know what I mean? And this was a unification, of course, like I said. Juan Baby Bull Diaz bringing his WBA and WBO titles that he got off of the Lafkasim guy, WBA, and Ancelino Freitas in the WBO. And that's how he brought his titles. And, of course, Juan Diaz got his title. Julio Diaz when he beat Jesus Chavez. And Juan Diaz unified these titles, became the unified champ, stopped the man in the later rounds. I believe, I can't remember what rounds, but I know he stopped the man, you know what I mean? And that's how Juan Baby Bull Diaz became a three-time champion at lightweight, you know what I mean, with 3 different belts. And, of course, he put them all on the line in his next fight versus Nate Campbell, the Galaxy Warrior, and he lost, you know what I mean? So this is in chronological order, you know what I'm saying? In chronological order, all the unification fights we've ever had at lightweight, you know what I'm saying? So I'm looking forward to this Mikey Garcia versus Robert Easter unification. And let me know what y'all think about these fights in the comment section. And if I did leave one out, and I don't believe I did, hey, let it be known in the comment section. B March Boxing, I'm out of here. Let me let y'all know which was my favorite fight out of all these unifications. My favorite fight was probably Spatafor and Doreen. That was my favorite out of all these, you know what I'm saying? Because I remember watching that live and I was so invested into that fight, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, these two guys were not the typical guys that you see fighting in unifications, you know what I'm saying? But hey, they made for a great fighter, but unfortunately nobody won. Let me know what y'all think about these fights and I'm out of here. Peace.